Okay guys, in the previous video we have finished this sidebar, and in this video we are going to create this section here, this what are we about section here. So let's see how we can do that. So let's go to our app component. So app.js. Here we want to import a new component. So we are going to create a component for this section here. But before we do that, in our app, what we are going to do is create a div here. So we are going to say div, and this div will have a class name of container. So class name of container. If we now do this and have a text here, for example hello, save, as you can see our navbar and the text have same amount of padding, so our page will have consistent padding here. So that is why we created the separate container class. Okay, we also want some padding on top and the bottom, so we're also going to give it another class of main. And let's go to our index.scss. Okay, so our index.scss has become very long, so let's try to simplify it. So what I'm going to do is cut all of this, so Ctrl X, and then we're going to create a new folder, new file in our partials folder. So we're going to call it _navbar.scss and paste it, Ctrl V, save, and we're simply going to import that navbar. So we're going to say at import, and we're going to import partials /navbar. Save it. Okay, it looks like we have some error. Let's see what is that. We need a semicolon here. Save, and everything still works the same. Okay, now let's target our main. So we're going to say .main. Let's give it a padding block. So we're going to say padding dash block, and let's say 3 viewport width, like so. Actually this should be main, I have spelled it wrong, so it should be main. Save, and now we have this little bit of padding on top and bottom. Yeah, this should be good enough. So now in our components, I'm going to create a new component, so new file, let's call it hero section. So this will be our hero section. So let's create a new file, we're going to call it hero section. .js, and we're going to say export default function hero section, and for now let's just return a div. So we're going to say return, we're going to return a div, and we're going to say hero section. And now let's import it in our app. So let's say go to our app, and we're going to say import, and we're going to import hero section. So hero section from components /hero section, and we can paste it here. So hero section, save, go to our app, and it says hero section. All of our section will have a class list of sections. So let's go to here and let's give it a class name. So class name of section, and we want our section to be 2 columns, so one for this one and one for this one. So inside the section we're going to have column, the class name will be column or just calls for short, and this one let's just say col1 for now, so column 1. And for the second one, let's give it a class name of column again, and this will say column 2, so col2, and close it, save. And this is how they looks like now. So let's style them. So let's target our section first, and let's go here, Ctrl V section, and let's say they will have a this section will have a display of flex, and they will also say align items to center. So align items center, like so. Okay, let's select the call inside the section. So .call, they will have a width of 50%, so 50%, save. And now as you can see, this is taking this much width and this is taking this much width, so half of the available width. Okay, let's see what is next. And then we'll have this h1, and then this paragraph, and then this button in first column. So let's do that. So let's go to our hero section. So first we are going to have a h1, let's give it a class of title, so class name equals to title, and we can copy the text. So what are we about? Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and after the h1 text we are going to have a paragraph text with the class of info. Let's say class name, the class name will be info, and again we can copy this text, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, paste it, and finally we'll have a button. So we're going to create a button. Class name will be button, so class name equals to btn for button, and this will say explore now. Save it, and this is what they looks like. So we need to style them. Let's start by styling our button. So Ctrl C, go to our index.scss, and let's paste it here. Let's say our button will have no border or outline, so we're going to say border equals to none. The outline will also be none. Okay, let's give it a background color of our primary color. So background color equals to var, and we're going to say dash primary color. The color will be white, so we're going to say color equals to white. Hashtag FFF for white. Save it. It needs some padding, so we're going to say padding. The top bottom can be, let's say, 0.5 em, and the left right will be 1 em. Save it, and this is how this looks like. Let's also say the text transform will be uppercase, and the font size will be, let's say, 1.2 em. Let's say font size 1.2 em, and let's see, actually 1.1 em should be good enough. So 1.1 em. Let's see how this looks. Okay, let's also try making 8.5 all direction. Save. Actually, let's make it 0.75 em. And yeah, this should be good enough. Let's also say the letter spacing. So letter spacing equals to, let's say, 1 pixel. We do need some border radius, so we're going to say border radius of, let's say, 3 pixel. And we'll have some box shadow, so we're going to say box dash shadow. The x-axis will be 0, the y will be 3 pixel, the blur will be 6 pixel, and the color will be our shadow color. Save. We have this shadow color. Okay, let's make it 1 or 2, and this is how this looks. And we're going to say and colon hover. So when we hover on them, hover on our button, the box shadow will be 1 pixel from the y, and the blur will be, let's say, just 3 pixels. Save it. So when we hover on them, we can barely see our shadow. Okay, let's try make it 1 pixel and font weight bold. So font weight bold. Save. And yeah, I think this looks better. Let's see. Yeah, this looks better, but we have to increase our padding now. So let's say 0.75 here, and this one can be 1 em. Yeah, this is pretty close to what we had in our finished project. Not exactly, but should be good enough. Okay, now let's target our section. Let's get the title. So dot title. The title will have a color of text color. So color equals to var dash text color. Font size will be, let's say, 3 em. So this is how this looks like. Pretty close to what we have. Let's say they'll also have some margin on the bottom, so we're going to say margin bottom. Let's try 0.5 em, and let's see, 0.5 em is too much. Let's say 0.25 em, and 0.25 em should be good enough. Let's target our info.info. So info will have a color of text dash light. The font size will be 1 em. Let's make it 1 em. Like so. It will have some letter spacing, so we're going to say letter spacing of, let's say, 1 pixel again, and it will have a line height, so we're going to say line height. Let's try 1.2. Let's see how that looks. I think 1.3, and yeah, 1.3 should be good enough. Let's also say it will have some margin on the bottom as well, of margin bottom of, let's say, 1 em instead. So 1 em or 1.25 em. So now we have about same amount of white space on top and bottom. Okay, so now we want to create this gallery. So for that we need some images. So what I'm going to do is copy the images from our finished project. So this is the image folder, and I'm going to paste it in the public folder. So now we have this image folder. In the image folder we have this gallery folder. Inside that we have this images, and then we have this top shape section where we have these images. And I'll leave the link to the finished project in the video description, so you will be able to simply get this image folder from that and paste it in your public folder. Okay. And for our images, as you can see, the images are in a fixed ratio. For that, we're going to create a separate component just for our image. So let's create a new component, so new file, and we're going to call it, let's call it custom image .js, like so. So let's say export default, and here we're going to call it function custom image, and this will take a source. We don't need the alt. This will simply take the source, and this will take the padding top. So let's just call it pt, and you will see why. And then we have to return, and for now let's just return a simple div. So we're going to say div, and this will say, let's say hello, and now we can import it in our hero section. So let's say import, and we want to import custom image from /custom image, since we are already inside a components folder. Okay, now let's give this column a class of gallery, so gallery, and inside that we'll have our custom image. So custom image, save it, go to our page, and it says hello. But in our finished project we have 1 2 3 6 9 images, so let's copy it 9 times. 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, save, and this is how they looks like. Okay, now let's go to our, let's give this section a class of hero. So this is our hero section, and then in our style.scss, index.scss, sorry, let's target hero section. So dot section dot hero, and let's target gallery. Let's say this will have a display of grid, so display equals to grid, and then we can say grid template columns. We're going to say repeat, and we're going to repeat it 3 times. So we're going to say repeat 3 and 1 fr, save it, and now have this 3x3 image, 3x3 grid, sorry. Okay, now our custom image, let's give this div a class of custom image. So class name equals to custom image, and let's copy the it should be image. Let's copy this, Control C, go to our index.scss, and let's paste it here under the button. So dot custom but image, for now let's just say they will have a background color of red. So background color equals to red, save it. So now they have this little bit background color. Okay, let's separate them by saying grid gap. So here we can simply say gap, let's say 2 viewport width, and let's see if 2 viewport width is enough. Yeah, 2 viewport width, let's make it 1.75 viewport width. It should be 1.75, not 175, like so. This is pretty close to what we have. Okay, now what we also want to do is, here is our custom image. We are going to give them a height. So height equals to 0, so they won't have any height, so we can see them. So the way we are going to make them a fixed width is by saying width equals to 100%, and we are also going to say padding top. So padding top equals to, if we say 100%, we get this size. If we were to say 60% or 70%, we get this much. If we say 80%, we get this much. So we are going to control the size of our image by controlling the padding top. So by default we don't want any padding top. Why? That is because we'll receive the padding top as our prop. So in our hero section, let's give them some padding top. So we're going to say pt for padding top, and let's make it a string. So let's try 70%, and we might have to change it, but for now let's go to our custom image, and here we are going to use style. So we're going to say style equals to, it will be double set of curly brace. Let me close the sidebar, and here we're going to say padding top, and the padding top will be simply our pt. Pt is our prop, and this much is 70%. Let's see, and I think we have more than 70, so let's try making it 90. We can try 80 also. Let's see if 80 looks any good, or 85, And yeah, 85 I think is pretty close to what we have. Okay, now instead of just writing it 9 times, let's only keep 1, and we want to create an array of all the images. So we're going to say const images equals to images will be an array. Okay, let me open up my sidebar back. As you can see, in our public folder, inside this image folder, inside the gallery, we have 10 images. So we're going to use those images. Images are in public folder. We can access them simply by saying /images. Actually, it is img /gallery /img_1 .jpg, and we have to create 8 more. So image 2, image 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 9 of them. So now we can loop through all our images. So here we're simply going to say images.map. We're going to loop through all our images. For each of them, we're going to just return this custom image component, save it, and now again we have this 9x9 grid. So now we also want to, let's see, custom image, we're receiving the source as a prop. Actually, let's call it image source. So img src, src, copy this, Control C, go to our hero section. So here we're going to say source, image source equals to source, like so. And we also need a key. So let's say we are going to receive both source and index. It should be source, and let's say key equals to index. Save it, and nothing changes yet. But now in our custom image component, what we're going to do is, instead of simply just saying hello, we're going to have an image text. So we're going to say img, the source will be image source, the source we passed, and the alt can be nothing, an empty string. Save it, and now we have these images, but as you can see, they are off. So what we are going to do is go to our index.scss. Our custom image will have a position of relative, so position relative, and let's target the image inside that. So img image will have a position of absolute, so position of absolute, the top will be 0, the left will be 0, the height will be 100%, and the width will be 100%. Okay, save it. This is how they looks like. We can make them look a little bit better by saying the object fit to cover. So let's target image separately. All of our images will have an object fit, so object fit of cover. So now they are looking a bit better. Okay, now we want a little bit of padding here. So let's target our, let's give this column a class. So let's go to our hero section. Let's give it a class of typography. Copy this, Control C. Let's go to our index.scss. Let's target that, and let's say this will have some padding on the right side. So padding right, let's say 1 em, and let's see. And yeah, 1 em should be good enough. So this is how they look like. But now in our finished project, if we refresh, as you can see, those images comes one after another. So let's see how we can do that. So let's target the custom image here. So in the gallery, we have the custom image dot custom image. So let's say by default, they will have a transform of scale to, let's say, 0. So they will be hidden by default. Actually, let's just make it 0.1. So we can barely see our image, just so that we know the images are here, and they will have some animation. So we're going to say animation, and the animation duration will be, let's say, get animation duration, like so. That animation duration can be, let's say, 0.3 second, and the name will be, let's say, pop out. And now we have to create this pop out function. Let's do that. So Control C, and then let's go to our animations and let's create that animation. So we're going to say add keyframes, and we have called it pop out. So we are going to say from, it will be transform equals to scale, and the scale will be 0 by default, and the opacity will also be 0. So we are going to say opacity equals to 0, and the 2 will be scale to 1 and opacity to 1. Save it, click on refresh. As you can see, they pops out and then they goes back. So to prevent them from going back, we can simply say the animation fill mode will be forward. So we simply have to say forwards. Save it, and now they grows and they stays that way. Okay, let's remove this transform, we don't need them. Save it, refresh. This is how they looks like, but all of them comes at the same time, but we want them to come in a spiral fashion. Let's see how we can do that. So for that we have to individually give them an animation delay. So we are going to say and colon nth child. So let's say and colon nth child. The first one does not need any animation delay. Let's start with the second one. So the animation delay can be, let's say, 0.1 second. If we now save it, refresh, so first this one comes and then this one, you'll notice, and then this one should come. So we're going to simply copy this 7 more times. So okay, after this one, then this one should come. So the third one, this one can have animation delay of 0.2 second, and after that this one should come. So this is 1 2 3 4 5 6th element. So let's say it's 6. The animation delay will be 0.3 second, and after 6 1, this one should come. So this is the 9th element. So let's say 9. The animation delay will be, let's say, 0.4 second. After that this one should come. So this is the 8th one. So we're going to say 8. This will have an animation delay of 0.5 second. After that we have this 7th one. So let's target the 7th, and the animation delay for this one will be 0.6, and then this one. So this is the 4th element. So let's say 4, and our 4th element will have a 0.7 second animation delay. And let me copy this one more time. So Alt Shift down, and then we have our 5th element lastly. So 5th element will have animation delay of 0.8 seconds. Save it, and now if I were to click on refresh, okay, let's see why this is jittering. Let's try to make the animation delay to, let's say, 5 seconds. Okay, actually we do need the transform. So we're going to say transform equals to scale to 0, and we're also going to say opacity to 0. So opacity equals to 0. Save it, and now it should work fine. So yeah, now this looks much better, pretty close to what we had in our finished project. And actually let's make them 90. So for the padding top, we're going to make it 90. And yeah, this is a bit better. And we also need some border radius here. So let's do that. So we're going to go to our index.scss. Here is our custom image. So we're going to say border radius. Up, let's say 3 pixel, and we're also going to have to say overflow to hidden. Save it, and they have this rounded corner just like our finished project. Okay, so this should be all for our hero section and for this video. So in the next video we're going to create this improve your skill section. This should be much more simpler. So I'll see you in the next video.